What's going on, Washington fans? We are days away from the 2025 NFL Draft, and I'm pumped. This is my favorite event out of the entire year. I don't care what it is, what sport. You can keep the Super Bowl until Washington wins it, of course. But this has always been my favorite. I'm a draft junkie, always have been. That's pretty much how I got started in all of this sports media stuff. So I'm going over my final mock draft, which just dropped on Commander's Wire, which is who I write for the USA Today. So I'll be going over that article here in video form because I had a lot of people reach out to me and say, hey, Josh, I love the article, but I just wanted a video. Here you kind of talk about it and, talk through the picks and stuff like that. So I said, hey, why not? Might as well drop it for the last mock draft Monday before the draft. And then if you check over my live stream schedules, I have a lot coming up. I'll be going live Wednesday night for about 2 hours probably, just doing a draft preview, talking to y'all, getting comments, questions, all that good stuff, going over top picks I'm looking for, also some strategies going on. A lot of intel's coming out these last few days, especially today. So I'm sure we'll get some more before Wednesday, but we're going to go over all of that. Maybe go through a mock draft or something. We'll see if people ask for it, whatever. But then also, I will be live for every single pick of the draft Thursday night, Friday night, and all day Saturday. So buckle up for that. Make sure you stop by, watch the stream. I'll be giving you instant reactions, breakdowns on every pick, not just Washington, but all the crazy moves around the NFL draft. But of course, whenever our Commanders make a selection, I will give you my thoughts. And then obviously after the draft, I'll be doing a lot of breakdown videos and articles and stuff like that. So it's a fun time. Buckle up. Your boy's going to be back in Virginia in like 2 weeks. I'll be there for mini camp, training camp, all that good stuff. Got so much cooking up for y'all. Absolutely cannot wait. Let's get to it, guys. Let's get to my final mock draft. So at pick 29, I do not have the Washington Commanders trading back. One, I feel like there's a lot of smoke in the sense is that teams don't want to trade back up into the first. And if they do, it's likely around the range of, I'd say, like the Vikings or the Rams to try to trade back up for a quarterback. It just seems like that's how things are going. Not a lot of teams think there's high quality picks in this first round. They feel like the best values those second, third round picks. So they really don't want to trade those picks to, move up for a prospect unless it just blows them away. The only thing I can see is if someone does trade back up for a quarterback, at pick 29, trying to get that fifth-year option for their quarterback, or if it's another premier position, but it just doesn't sound like it. Adam Schefter even put out a thing today saying that, a list of teams that it sounded like we're interested in trading back, and he did not list Washington, so I'm kind of glad I didn't put them in this mock draft that I've been writing up Saturday and Sunday. But I have them staying at 29 and selecting Donovan Ezeiruaku, edge out of Boston College. And this is a pick. I woke up this morning. I was super nervous because I knew a lot of big time draft media and analysis. People, a lot of those analysts that are going to be like on the panels for the draft and stuff like that, guys like Jordan Reed. I was like, man, I don't want this mock draft to look bad compared to theirs. And sure enough, I read about 3 this morning, including Jordan Reed from ESPN, that had Donovan Ezeiruaku going to Washington at 29. So it just seems like, one, it's a great fit, and I'll tell you why. But two, also, it just makes a lot of sense. I think with the players that are going to be taken ahead of him, people in the draft, just look at Trayvon Walker, always go over the size and the combine numbers. How big are you? How athletic are you? Now, Donovan Ezeiruaku is not the biggest guy. He's like 6'2". What is he? I think it's like 248 or somewhere around there. I have it listed here. Yeah, 6'2", 248. But he has really good arm length. He has really strong hands. Has one of the best bends in the NFL draft. Him and James Pierce have an insane bend. Even, obviously, Abdul Carter. But his bend around the edge, his ability just to make tackles look silly. He is one of my favorite edge rushers that I watched, breaking down the tapes of these guys in this class. I think this is an excellent pick for Dan Quinn and Adam Peters because I think this fits the mold of what Dan Quinn's really been looking for. Just look at all the edge rushers that we've shown interest in so far. Even guys like Femi Oladejo. Guys who can be those stand-up 2-point outside pass rushers. I don't want to compare him to Dante Fowler because I think he's a much better player. No shot, to Dante Fowler, great pass rusher. But when it comes to stopping the run too, I had someone reach out to me last night, actually super, super late. And they're like, man, talk to me about Donovan Ezeiruaku because I see it coming up a lot. And this is before my article even came out, so I was ready. And when you watch the film, you see how he attacks the run game, how he's able to close those gaps and, really just read and react to where the ball's going to. I was super impressed with Donovan Ezeiruaku. And like I said, he's not just some pass specialist, even though he has crazy numbers, 14 sacks last year, 20 hits, 26 hurries, a 10.1 run stop rate to go with it, which is up in the top tier of the PFF grades in 2024, an 83.6 run defensive grade, once again up in that top tier, to go along with his 90.7 true pass set pass rushing grade and a 18.2 pass rushing win rate. That's so hard to say. Pass rushing win rate. So he's not just a designated rotate-in kind of guy who's going to rush the quarterback on third downs, anything like that. This guy played 766 snaps last year. James Pierce Jr. played 450, somewhere around that range, each of the last 2 seasons. Donovan Ezeiruaku has way more snaps. He has 302 run defensive snaps to go with his 420 pass rushing snaps. But like I said, that rush, the run stop rate up there matching his pass rushing weight. It really is just confirmed what I saw on film. Now I'll say this: Donovan Ezeiruaku is not the strongest guy by any means. He's not gonna bull rush a lot of people, but he does have a nasty stiff arm. He has really long arms. So even though he's 6'2", 245, whatever I said he was, 248, somewhere around there, he has that length in his arms that can get that jab, can get that just stab to the offensive tackles when he's going around them on the outside. And like I said, even when they try to get that first step and cut off his speed, he can just, counter with an inside move and makes them look silly. I think this guy is... I think he could potentially go in the top 15 of the draft. But like I said, teams are going to swing on Mikael Williams, who didn't have a lot of production but has the size. Same as Shamar Stewart, excelled at the combine. I still think he's a top 12 pick in this draft. A lot of teams agree. And, they have that build and everything. So just because Donovan Ezeiruaku doesn't have that build, I'm begging Washington fans not to just throw him into some Dante Fowler Jr. mold. He's a smaller outside linebacker. Great. That's what we're going to get. No, that's not what you're only going to get. You're going to get that with a guy who can still stop the run. I watched a couple of games last night. This is just a tweet that was highlighting his pass rushing moves. But I sent the person that was asking me last night about him, I sent them 2 games of every snap of him, and it showed him in the run stopping game. I'm not going to pull it up here yet. But, if we draft him, I'll break him down fully. But I was just so impressed by how disciplined he was. You're stopping the run on the way to the quarterback with every single rush that you do. So I think this is a home run pick. We are desperate to get that outside guy, and I think he fits everything that Dan Quinn loves. I think Dan Quinn is just so eager to get back that Micah Parsons type, who's, he can put his hand in the dirt, and Donovan Ezeiruaku can put his hand in the dirt too. But I think he's more effective as that stand-up 2-point stance pass rusher from the outside. Now, I have us trading out of 61 with Jacksonville, who has a lot of picks this year. They're going to want to try to move up and get into that sweet spot at 61, try to get some more of that value. Like I said, it's in the second, third rounds. So that makes a lot of sense for me. I'm looking at teams like Jacksonville, teams like the Ravens, who have a ton of picks, even the Eagles, to trade back at 61 and get some more picks so Adam Peters can work his magic. Now, Kevin Winston Jr., I know a lot of people are like, Josh, he's not going to be there. Hear me out. So I picked 70 after sending 61 to the Jaguars for 70, 126, and 182, which matches up on the trade value chart. I think Washington had a slight edge, but for once again, trading up into the second, having to go back to the beginning of the third there at 70, it makes up for it. So Kevin Winston Jr., I'm a massive fan of Kevin Winston Jr. I have been, covering Penn State before with their recruiting and stuff like that. I was so heartbroken when he got injured beginning of this season, and he wasn't able to finish out his last season. But the 2023 film said that he was a first round talent, all the makings to be an elite safety in this league. And he was also one of the players that attended the Commanders' local pro day, which surprised me, but it was a very, very good surprise because I can't speak highly enough about Kevin Winston Jr. The guy, he's not just some box safety. People talk about Nick Amenwari and what he can do, who he's not even that good in the box. In my opinion, Kevin Winston Jr. is better than Amenwari. I think he blows it out of the water. I don't think the competition is even close. Winston Jr. can fill in that Jeremy Chin missing piece perfectly. And that's what I talked about in my article. You can kind of see it there. Size-wise, they fit in everything. But the ceiling and the better at coverage goes to Kevin Winston Jr. He's the way better prospect compared to what we had for Jeremy Chin. And I think Jeremy Chin was great last year. I think some fans are like, he missed that one tackle in the Saquon run. Like, give me a break. But I think Kevin Winston Jr., he's a downhill elite run stopper when he's, in the box, or even if he's up in coverage, he has to come down. Even the one game he played in this season, he showed that. But if you go back to 2023, the film, it just radiates with an all-pro future safety. Now, the good thing is he only partially tore his ACL, so it's not like it was a full tear. It wasn't like anything like that. And then at his pro day, he ran a 4.45. Some had him between a 4.45 and a 4.5. I'm taking that all day long for his size, and then partially tearing his ACL 6 months ago, or almost probably 6.5 months ago now. I'm taking that all day long. And I think that's why he drops this far. Some people are still saying middle second for Kevin Winston Jr. I know the medicals are coming back, so that is helping a good bit. But this is a good safety class. I think the safety class isn't being talked about enough for how good it is. But I think just the people are going to be slightly worried about that injury. Anytime you even partially tear your ACL, it's going to hurt your draft stock. So could he go late second? Sure. But I strongly believe he will be there at 70. Even, listening to a couple people, nitpicking, listening to the PFF guys, listening to Jordan Reed, listening to these guys, Field Yates, they still think somewhere between 65 to 75. I'll even say 60 to 75. That seems to be the sweet spot for Kevin Winston Jr. I'm not hearing real smoke that he's an early second round guy. It still sounds like this is around the range. So I'm all in getting him at pick 70, trading back, getting more picks from the Jaguars. This guy with Quan Martin, I love that duo. Let Quan Martin do his thing at free safety, and let Kevin Winston Jr. take over as that strong safety. Sideline to sideline speed, downhill, very physical tackler. I mean, he's everything I love about the safety position and so much more. I even have I plugged in these little videos for every single one, but just showing you his ability to read and react. That this was in the one game this season because he switched his number to number 2, but just ability to get off blocks, stop the run. Also, when he's down, this is man coverage. Looks like cover one robber. Essentially, he's the robber guy, being able to just read and react. He's very quick. That first step. And wide receivers are not going to be able to block this guy, to be honest with you. I just love the toughness and the physical style of play of Winston. I could just watch his highlights from 2023 and then the one game from last year all night long. But I'm a huge fan. I think that would be one of my favorite picks. Now, of course, Washington does have to address the running back room. So like I said, we got some extra picks from the Jaguars. We got some stuff. Bhayshul Tuten, scooting and booting, running back out of Virginia Tech, the local guy. Now, it took me a little while. I'll admit it took me a little while for Tuten to grow on me because of his fumbles. Now, with that being said, there was a lot of running backs that struggled with, fumbles in college that when they did get to the next level, they improved drastically. So that is something that can be fixed. He didn't fumble as much as Jaden Blue, and I love Jaden Blue, But I feel like for what you're getting with Tuten, in my opinion, this is going to sound terrible, but it's really not because I think so highly of him. Um, I think this is more of a second tier. I don't want to say off brand Travion Henderson, but that's the vibes I get when I'm watching Tuten run. He's very explosive. He has that speed and power blend, and he can flip that switch when he needs to. When it's time to run somebody over, he'll kick that power in. But then also he has like that one cut, ability. So when he sees the path he's looking for, he's going to hit that speed and he's going to be gone. Now, like I said, he can fumble. That's fine. We're going to fix that. But just his ability, that's something Washington is lacking heavily. We already kind of have that physical style of play with like Brian Robinson. We need that speed and the big playmaking ability. That's what's missing. Big playability. And I think Tuten has a great big playability. 4.32 40-yard dash speeds, 5'9", 206. That's my kind of size at running back. 5'9", 206. Usually at 5'9", you're like 185, 190. He is a bowling ball just ready to run over a linebacker or a DB. I thoroughly, when I went back to watch his film after the combine, went off of the combine, everyone was talking about him. I was like, let me go watch this film because I haven't watched him yet. And, like I said, throughout the process, I watched it a little bit more about a week or two ago. And I was like, man, I just thoroughly enjoy how he runs the ball. He fits what we're looking for. He was used as a wide receiver primarily was it North Carolina A&T before he transferred to Virginia Tech. So Washington's looking for a guy that can do it all back there. He has the receiving ability. He has the speed. He has the strength. 5'9", 206. He might not be the best, pass pro guy, but I think at his size, with the height and his weight and his frame, you can get up under some pads. So I think that's something that's going to get better in the NFL is you got to fix the fumbles and you got to be a better pass protector. And at 5'9", 206, just like Travion Henderson, he was a smaller guy, can get under people's pads. He's a very willing blocker. At least get in there and just use that strength and size you have to get up under there and get gritty with some of these guys. So I think this is a perfect fit. He said he had a private workout with Washington, had a dinner or lunch with him, whatever, had a meal. He feasted with the team, had a lot of conversations with them. They're big on him. We've done a lot of homework on running backs this draft class. I'm willing to bet anything in the world that we will be getting a running back in this class. And I think here at 26 is the perfect range for Tuten. I think you'll start to see some other guys, go before him with Caleb, DJ Giddens, Quinshon Judkins, Dylan Sampson. It's going to push him down a little bit, but that's fine with me. I really like those running backs, but in such a deep draft, you're getting a guy at 126, possibly that other drafts he'd go in the top 100, even late 90s. So the big playability is there. I love his speed and his power, and I think he can get even better. So super excited to see what he would bring to the team. And of course, if you're a Tech fan, you're going to really like this because, he's the local guy. But like I said, just that big play waiting to happen. Boom. As soon as he hits that one gap, he's gone. And this is something I saw on film a lot. It doesn't take much. Just one alley. Even here was that against Marshall. Finds where he wants to go. He's reactive. He hit it. He didn't hesitate. Wasn't a touchdown, but still another big play. Explosive run of over 15 yards. Runs a guy over in the run lane. And it's a touchdown. Like, these are the kind of plays that showed up consistently with Tuten. And look at that. Just yards after contact, turning those legs, and then flipping that switch. Usually you see these strong power backs, they just have one speed. They hit a guy and they just stay one speed, but it's like he just ramps it up after he gets hit and he just starts getting those legs going again. I loved watching his film. He could play running back on my team all day long as long as he's keeping that rock, high and tight, baby. 2 hands on it. And then, of course, Tai Felton is a guy that's been linked to Washington a ton. Between our local pro day, going to his pro day, many meetings. Felton said that the Commanders were the team that stood out the most so far in the whole process. He said that at his pro day with the media. Here at 128, I think, is around the range he goes. I'm watching the film of Tai Felton, and I was actually really surprised because for a guy his size, he is actually pretty hard to bring down. Like, he made some broken tackles and missed tackles on film that I wasn't expecting. I was expecting Tai Felton because I saw him at the Senior Bowl. I saw him a little bit throughout the season, but not much. So, after the Senior Bowl, he caught that deep ball. I was like, all right, he's kind of like a deep threat kind of guy. He's just going to, run 9 routes, run those vertical routes, and make some big plays. And I'm fine with that. But that's not right at all. That was like way off. I think he has the ability to be a really good vertical threat. But another thing that surprised me is how good he is in his breaking points, how good his cuts and his routes really are. There's just so many times, even like curl routes or post routes, where he's in that breaking point. It is just no wasted movement, super sharp cuts, and he gets that separation like he's supposed to at that breaking point. And when the quarterback play was good, the ball was there for him, ready to go. Super productive guy. I mean, big time numbers last year. He had 96 catches, which was the second most in FBS according to PFF. He had 1,124 yards, which was his 12th most in the in the FBS according to PFF. But at 6'1", 185, I was like, this guy is just going to be like a fast guy that just runs down the field. He had 26 missed tackles last season. And like I said, a lot of those came on these plays, and this is one of them I want to say. This is one where he's showing his break and tackle and stuff like that. But like, look, I know it's off coverage, but still really good route. But just, swinging his arms out there, the ability to break the tackles, I was not expecting this from Tai Felton. Really good body control, strong, dynamic. That's what it's saying there in the tweet. That's right. He can be a deep threat guy. Does a good job getting his feet in, locating over the shoulder. Good body control there. But then also just the sudden movements to get that slight separation at the end. But then the precise cuts and knowing where he needs to be open. Look at that. Those are quick, crisp breaking points. I love that. And then after the catch, I wasn't expecting that at all. Look at that. Boom, boom. Oh, little fade. Fade set up with the release package. First off, that safety, I don't know what he was trying to do, but Felton's like, you're not going to pick this ball off anyways. I'm gonna go up there and get it. Look at that. Sharp cut. Nice slant. And pushes it into the end zone. Like, this is not at all what I was expecting when I turned on the Tai Felton film. But I think that quick passing game that Cliff loves to run, and a lot of these routes, I'm like, man, that's what Terry's doing in the red zone. These are the kind of plays Terry's looking for in the red zone. Having another guy that can play outside, I think Tai Felton could play in the slot too. I think with his size and his speed, and I'm just looking at how he's reading the zone, like knowing where he needs to go, finding that empty spot in the zone, and how he's running his routes. I want to see what he can do in the slot too. I think this is a guy that can line up in the slot on the outside. Same with, Debo, obviously completely different guys, but they can still align in the slot and outside. Debo's primarily an outside guy, surprisingly. But I really want to see what Tai Felton could do in this offense. The quick games, the screens. He's not the best blocker on the outside. That's my only knock with Tai Felton. He's not going to square up on a big corner or a safety or even like a linebacker or anything like that and get a really, really good block. But the effort's there, so I'll take it. But I really want to see these quick passes, these curl routes, these slants, post routes, and then even some deep routes and like these fades where I see like he has that outside leverage and the ball's thrown where it needs to be on the outside shoulder and he's looking over and he's catching it. He's just that suddenness to like lead him where he needs to go, where he's in his fade. Like, I really like Tai Felton. I do. And, there's a couple guys in this draft. I love wide receivers. There's a couple guys that really impressed me. And I think Tai Felton's one where I was like, I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting him to break tackles and make these guys look silly as much as he did. But sure enough, he did. Now, as much as I love the other picks, this one's my favorite. Now, going back, this might be a little too late for Jason Marshall now. Teams are starting to catch up. Jason Marshall Jr. was going to be a late first round corner. Late first round. Had a shoulder injury. Was it like middle of October? I want to say it's like October 17th or something like that. So he missed the rest of the season, but he is good to go. He looked incredible and all the stuff, in the offseason so far, like in the draft process. But Jason Marshall Jr., man, I knew about him. Shout out to Mason. Mason told me about him like last year. Um, but I've seen his name pop up. Obviously as an Alabama guy, I watch Florida. I watch SEC football. So I knew who Jason Marshall was, but this was a guy that was up there with Benjamin Morrison. At one point, this was the top corners of the draft. Siobhan Revel, Benjamin Morrison, and Jason Marshall Jr. were your top 3 corners of the draft. Then all 3 got hurt. All 3 got hurt, and it completely shook up the board. Now you have Trey Amos. You've got, Maxwell Harrison. You got some other guys kind of creeping up there. But for the beginning of the season, up until they got hurt, it was those 3, Revel, Marshall Jr., and Benjamin Morrison. Those were the 3 top corners that were going to go in the first round. And like I said, he hurt his shoulder, but man, this is a guy who's projected to go 5th round, 6th round now because of that injury. But this is a guy I think could start day 1. If Washington drafts him, like I said, he might have to be the 4th round pick now. And if so be it, then so be it. But I think this is a guy. You put Mikey Samer still in the slot, and you put, Marshawn Lattimore. Hopefully his legs are healthy now. And then I think Jason Marshall Jr. starts on the other side. I'm not kidding. I was super impressed with him. Really good press corner. He was, there's a typo here, 99th percentile in single coverage last season. In single coverage, like I said, he excels in press man, very fluid and reactive in zone coverage. So he can do both. You see a lot of man corners who are really, really good at man and single coverage, and that's all they can really be in. They don't have that second alter ego, is what I'll say, to where it's like, okay, you're in zone coverage. You're not playing hip for hip. You're not playing, elbow in. You're not, shadowing their routes. You're not being sticky. You're in your zone. You're in your responsibility. You're supposed to be, but you have to read and react to the play. You got to have that trigger that says, okay, this wide receiver is coming up into my zone. I need to take him. Or it's like, okay, the quarterback's looking this way. I got to read his eyes. I'm going to react. I'm going to jump this route. A lot of man corners don't have that, but Jason Marshall Jr. does. I really liked watching his film. Like I said, I know he got hurt, but he had 25 pass breakups and only allowed 27 catches in his last 19 games in college. Then, like I said, after his injury this offseason, a 37.5-inch vertical, 10'5" broad jump, had a 1.54 10-yard split on his 4.49 40-yard dash. And even then, he wasn't at 100% and still ran a 4.49 40-yard dash. And the 1.54 10-yard split is really impressive. And the thing I love about him is when I'm watching him stop the run, he is getting off that block and he's getting downhill. He's sticking his helmet in the backfield and just being a violent physical corner. Like I said, if teams are circling back and watching his film, he might not make it there to the 6. This is kind of small. Let's see if it'll pop it up. Here we go. He's at the bottom of the screen on this one, number 3. So off coverage, but single coverage and man, gets that inside leverage, interception. Psh, easy peasy. Next one, number 3. It's a screen, blows it up. Let's watch that one again. He's communicating. He reads and sees that it's a screen because of the blocking. Running back tries to go out there, blows the play wide open. So love it, love it, love it. Then corner blitz, he can do that too. Coming off the edge, he just pops it into your screen out of nowhere, reads the play. And he kind of reacts to the running back a little bit because it's like, all right, it's a run fake. You never know. If it is, I'm going to make the play. And then he sees that he kept it, and he's like, all right, I'm gone. He said, I'm gone. He can do it all. Once again, screenplay blows it up. Like, Jason Marshall Jr. can play on my team any day. I love what I see from him. So he can play corner in my secondary. He's a 5-star recruit, started 32 games. Well put together, 18 pass deflections, 1 interception past 2 seasons. That's my one knack on him is he doesn't have the crazy ball production like interceptions wise, but he's getting pass breakups. He's not giving up big plays. He is a great in man and he can play well in zone. Like I said, you don't have a lot of corners that can do that. He would be my favorite pick. I mean that. Even out of Donovan Ezeiruaku, man, Kevin Winston Jr. I love him so much. It's really close between Winston and Marshall, but those two guys are easily my favorite pick. Esa Pole, this is a guy who I didn't know a lot about until I saw that we were interested in him. We had a meeting with him. Then I started doing some deep diving. This tackle class is not good. After the first round, if you need a tackle, there's probably 2, 3, maybe 4 guys like Anthony Belton, Charles Grant, Chase Lunt, guys that could be starters for you. But a lot of these other guys, Emory Jones Jr., Wyatt Milam, they're getting kicked into guard. They're not staying at tackle. A lot of the top tackles in this class are actually really good guards. So I saw we met with Pole, and I was like, I don't know anything about him. I did see he was at the Shrine Bowl. I kept up with him a little bit. I know he was like player of the week in like practice a couple times or whatever, or player of practice. So I've seen his name a couple times, but I didn't really know anything about his background. He did not start playing football until recently. He did not play football in high school. He actually played basketball. But this is a massive, massive guy. Washington has done their homework on tackles. They've met with a lot of guys. They've met with a lot of guys at guard. I think Esa Pole is a guy who can play tackle. In worst case, you can put him into guard as well. And Washington really is lacking that depth at guard and tackle. Now, we'll see what Brandon Coleman and Wiley do as they're going to compete for that right tackle spot. And then whoever loses that competition, my guess is they move into the right guard spot until Sam Cosmi's at 100%, which I'm fine with. But still, behind Nick Allegretti, behind Cosme and whoever, we don't have depth at guard. And then also behind Tunzel, behind whoever starts at right tackle besides the loser of the right tackle, competition. We don't have true depth. I know we signed some depth guys. I do like Urbig. I think there could be something there with them, but still, I need more depth because when people missed, some games, missed some time, and I'll even say we do need a center. I didn't put one on here, unfortunately. But even when Biotish missed some time, Michael Dieter was bad. I know we got Tunzel. The line's going to be better. I feel good about it. But I still think I want a guy that has some high upside to him. And Esa Pole, in my opinion, is one of those guys that has some of those goods. Like I said, he's still a really raw prospect, only 1,400. Well, still had 1,434 snaps in the 2 years of college football. But 2024, he was really, really good. Didn't allow a single sack in 498 pass blocking snaps. 6'5", 323, has those 34-inch arms with a basketball background. I really like that. He shows his athleticism. He showed it with his footwork, his ability to move out in space, move guys, body them up like he's boxing out in basketball. But we've seen this a couple times. Jordan Mailata, these guys that didn't play football before, come over and they just use that God-given athletic ability they have and put on a show. And the 2024 film of this guy is really impressive. I'm looking him up. I'm trying to do some more homework on him. There's a couple people that I think, was it Dane Brugler? I can't remember. There's a couple people that were doing like my favorite like day 3 guys or guys that aren't getting talked about enough. I kept seeing his name pop up over and over again with these guys. And I was like, maybe I need to really take a look at this guy. Like I said, 85.8 pass blocking grade on PFF in his final season last year. No sacks allowed. And, I said it here in the article. I already mentioned it. There's a lot of untapped potential. I think he get even better after, build that momentum off of a really, really good season last year. He's got the size that a lot of these tackles don't have 34-inch arms. A lot of them have like 32, 33-inch arms. And that's why they're moving to guard because they can't get a handle on these edge rushers. So he has that size. He has everything. but keep building him up and see what he can do. But we're lacking that true depth on the offensive line. That really bothers me. And the fact that he does have this, position flexibility to where if, you need him to go to guard, his movement skills and his footwork and everything say, hey, he can play guard and just be a really big guard, kind of like what Brandon Coleman would do. So I am super intrigued though. And I pulled Matt Lane's tweet here. Said nimble offensive tackle with great lateral quickness and depth out of his stance. Natural knee bend. That's something that a lot of these tacklers are missing is the bend. They play super high. They don't have that natural bend. They're getting, they're losing the leverage. Pass rushers are getting up under their pads. That's an issue with a lot of tackles I've seen in this class too. They don't have that bend. They don't have that knee bend. They're just kind of playing high and standing up. Natural knee bend and mirrors rushers with that posture up the arc or back inside. Hands are quicker than powerful, but active stabbing and refitting. I like that. Uses size to wall off or lean on in the run game. And we've got some Esa Pole highlights. Who knew? Bam. Little trap. I like that. Little trap pull there. I mean, look at the footwork, going outside and being able to just come back in. Natural movement. Even against a 2-point stance pass rusher, boom, getting there, try to hit the spin move on him, shut it down. Once again, where he's stabbing that hand kind of, helped with that spin move too. Keeping that outside, stabbing that outside shoulder so he can't really do anything after the spin move. Good first step. Good, good kick right there. Boom. I like what I saw out of him on film, honestly. I think there's stuff there with him. What are you going to do in the run game? I mean, he's still the edge, just, wasn't much going off. He did his part on that one. Boom. Hitting his assignment and then going back outside. I love to see it. Wasn't much of a second level to climb to, so he just cut. Bam, pulled. My man just pulled. That's what an athletic basketball background will do for you. I want to see that one again. Is it gonna let me? Yeah. They really pulled this man from left tackle. Bam. Love to see it. Was that a duo block? Kind of looked like it. But anyways, I really like him. I think he's got a lot of goods. And I want to see what else he can have. He had a top 30 visit with the Chiefs. Like, there's a lot of teams looking at him. He's starting to get a lot of smoke, and I don't like that. Now my final pick here at 245 in the 7th round, Chandler Martin. I love Chandler Martin. I love the intensity he plays with. I think this is a guy that could go undrafted, but I think it's more likely that he gets drafted. I don't see him making it out of the 7th, to be honest with you. Just way too productive, way too athletic. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Ivan Pace, who went undrafted, and the Vikings got a hell of a player because he was undersized. I think he was smaller than 5'11", 229, I want to say. But Chandler Martin is 5'11", 229, like I said, but smaller guy. But holy smokes, the guy can play. The guy can play. Elite athlete, 4.22 shuttle, 4.54 40-yard dash, insane. With the 1.58 10-yard split, unheard of from a linebacker. 37-inch vertical, nuts. He plays with elite sideline-to-sideline speed and a high motor. And when I say a high motor, I mean like a Corvette. Just all gas, no brakes. I don't even want to say a Corvette though, because it's like Corvette's fast, but it's not going to do some damage. He is like a, what can I compare him to? An Audi RS8, RSQ8. I think that's what they are. It's like V10 engine, big body, like he just hits hard. Like I said, I know he's a small dude, but he plays like he's massive. I love watching his film. He reminds me of a mix of like Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu. He can blitz the quarterback. He can stop the run really well. Like I said, I'm not saying he's Bobby Wagner. He's not Frankie Louvu, but you see Frankie Louvu plays with that high intensity, and you see him rushing the quarterback, and he does it effectively. That's what Chandler Martin does too. But then, like I said, he will stay at that line of scrimmage in the box and just nail a running back coming at him like Bobby Wagner does. I'm telling you, if we draft this guy and he gets to learn from both of those guys for a year. And like I said, Bobby Wagner probably retires after this. The team loves Jordan McGee. They love Jordan McGee, and I think they got one with him. I can't wait to see him. Had some injuries last year. But get this guy under their wing for that next year, and I feel really good. 206 tackles, 33 tackles for loss, 10 sacks over just the last 2 seasons. So he's averaging in the last 2 seasons about 103 tackles. What is that, like 16, 17 tackles for a loss a season and 5 sacks a season? That's nuts. And like I said, it showed up. It showed up on film. Didn't get an invite to the combine. Absolutely should have, though. But he's met with Washington. They showed some interest in him. It's very easy to see why. Number 11. Coming out and we're got that 11 on 11 crime. Look at him. Read and react, blowing the play up. Dude, like I said, just crazy high intensity. You don't just see some like, oh, lay down tackle. This dude is playing all the way up every rep. Boom. Dropping into coverage. Showing his coverage ability too. Look at his reaction. Everyone's going one way. He's the one guy. I just want to watch that again. Shot out of a cannon. Boom. Tackle for a loss. Shot out of a cannon. I'm going to kill you. Another tackle for a loss. Or is it might be a sack. Just being able to, how he just gets nimble and he just gets up on these blocks. Like he's like, you're not going to block me. I'm going to go stop this run. I mean, look at that. He steps in reactive. Like he doesn't give up these big plays. Like his eyes are amazing. And look at this one. Drop in zone. Boom. I see where he's going to go. He didn't even know there was someone right behind him. But then look at this one. Everyone's going one way. He just cuts back. Man, I love Chandler Martin. Welcome to the Chandler Martin fan club. So that's my mock draft, guys. I think Washington starts this thing off with getting some help on the defensive line, finding that guy that can stop the run, but then also be a big-time pass rusher, if I can find him, with Donovan Ezeiruaku there at pick 29. Some reason my thing does not want to load. There we go. Pick 29 out of Boston College. He was one of those late visit guys, around that time of Top Golf. I don't know if he was at Top Golf. That's a good question. But they got him in the building and they got to really get to know Donovan. So if he's honestly on the board there at 29, I just find it really hard to believe that would not be the pick. And I think there's going to be a slight run of quarterbacks, nothing crazy. I think Shedeur falls to the Steelers. I think someone could trade up in front of Washington and get Jackson Dart or Jalen Milroe. We'll see what happens. But then, like I said, with Michael Williams, with Shamar Stewart, some of these other edge rushers, the size, the combine numbers, teams always fought for it. Like I said, Travon Walker went first overall. He wasn't even that productive. Took him over Aiden Hutchinson just because of how athletic he was and his combine numbers. Teams do it all the time. And then second pick, I have us trading to Jacksonville and getting Kevin Winston Jr., safety out of Penn State, with pick 70, and then also getting picks 126 and 182 in the trade. That's a guy that's starting. He's well on his way to being recovered by training camp, like ready for contact and everything. And the next pick at 126, I have us getting Bhayshul Tuten, scooting, tootin' bootin', running back out of Virginia Tech, big-time playmaker that's going to actually make some of those, home run type plays that Washington was really lacking last year. Jay Daniels was the run game. We can't have that again this season. We did address the offensive line. Like I said, we traded for Laremy Tunsil. We traded for Debo. So we helped out Jaden that way. Now we've got to address the running back room. Offensive line got taken care of. Wide receiver room got taken care of with big trades. Now it's time to get a legit threat in the running game. So Bhayshul Tuten out of Virginia Tech, big time productive guy. Tai Felton, You can always add another wide receiver. I'm thinking about the future of that wide receiver room, that young core of the wide receiver room. Debo's a 1-year deal. Terry's getting old. I love him, but he's uncle now. Is getting up there. He's probably going to get an extension before the season starts, like a 3-year deal, but he's getting up there in age. My boy almost 30. So we got to get that young core going. We got Luke McCaffrey. I think he'll take a jump next season, but we need some more young cats that can make a difference next season. I think Tai Felton really fits in, the absence of De'Ami Brown and Olamide Zaccheaus. I can see him doing things that both of those guys did, to be honest with you. Like I said, super productive as well. And then Jason Marshall Jr. I seriously think this is a guy that could start week 1 on an NFL team. I feel that good about him. One of my favorite corners in this class. I mean, super, super just impressive value. If you get him here at 182, you might not be able to get him here at round 6 anymore. But for a while, this is about the range where he's been sitting at. So we'll see what happens. But man, the player is good. The fit is amazing. Let him play press corner out there. And if you have to drop in his zone, because Washington actually did play a good amount of zone last year, he can do that as well. Super instinctive. I would love to see his ball production skills get better. I think I mentioned it here in this article. Like Kamari Lassiter didn't have, I think I did. Maybe not. Kamari Lassiter wasn't the most productive guy. I thought I did mention Kamari Lassiter. Maybe not. But Kamari Lassiter was a guy that wasn't, that productive in college. Had a lot of pass breakups and stuff like that, but couldn't get interceptions. And then boom, his rookie season, my boy's getting interceptions for the Texans. So I would like to see that happen. If not, Jalen Smith from USC is another outside corner I mentioned that Washington's shown a lot of interest in that I like. He's strictly an outside corner for me. I think they both are. Then Esa Pole. A guy where in a class where there's not a lot of good tackles, a lot of them are just getting moved to guard because they're, their length, strength, whatever it is. For some reason, they don't look like they can play tackle at that next level. But I think Esa Pole has all the goods. I'm not saying he's going to be the next Jordan Mailata, but I'm just saying just because he has his basketball background or whatever doesn't mean he's just going to pan out. But he has the athleticism that I really appreciate. He has the size that says he can be a tackle. And then I go back and watch the 2024 film where it just started to click for him. Whatever it was, it started to click. Keep building off of that. He's been getting a lot of interest from teams, and I think he's got the upside there. I think it's at least depth while he's getting better, and who knows, maybe he can be a starting tackle one day. Chandler Martin. The guy is going to tackle everything. He's going to drop into coverage for you. He's going to blitz whenever you want him to, and he's going to get quarterbacks. Super productive, very athletic. I don't care about his size. The NFL should have learned their lesson with Ivan Pace with the Vikings of, when he went undrafted out of Cincinnati because of his size. Really good player. That's all I know. Chandler Martin can ball. He gives 100% effort on every single play. This guy screams Washington Commander, in my opinion. So got to make it happen. But that is it, guys. Hope y'all enjoyed my final mock draft for Commander's Wire. I will put the link in the description of this video if you really want to go read everything, see those clips and stuff again. But I highly recommend y'all looking these players up, doing some homework, and then also doing your own mock drafts. It's a lot of fun. But like I said, I will be live Wednesday night. I'm not sure when you're watching this video. Maybe you're watching this on Wednesday, who knows, or even Thursday and you missed it. But I'll be live Wednesday night to go over and just do an overall draft stream. Like I said, questions, maybe some mock drafts, whatever, but we're just going to talk about draft. We'll talk about draft prospects, whatever y'all want, and then I'll be live for the entire draft. So make sure you're subscribed and make sure you like the video, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.